This is Our Stories, Life with an STD, episode 3, with the beautiful Euphoria.
Herpes could never. Herpes could never break me, could never again make me feel less of. Herpes can't take my sexy away from me. Herpes does not take my worth away. Herpes does not devalue me. Herpes can never.
Hi, my name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess, and yes, having me is a big flex. I am the founder of Herpes Can Never, growing the largest herpes awareness community of over 280K because I inspire people to love themselves more. Herpes Can Never mission is to be at war with the herpes stigma until the herpes community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. This is Our Stories, Life with an STD. And I'm so excited today about episode 3 because we have our beautiful Sierra Roberts, aka Euphoria, who is the first healer for Herpes Can Never. She is our breath worker and spiritual guider. So I love you. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me, guys. So my name is Sierra Roberts. I go by Euphoria, the breathwork goddess. I pulled on the name Euphoria because when I went into this spiritual journey, that was the immediate thing that came to mind. That is what people told me I brought to them. That's what I felt. That's just how spirituality felt to me. So coming into this space, especially because this space was only brought to me through the herpes virus, I chose to go by the name of Euphoria. So when you see Euphoria, no, that is interchangeable with Sierra. But yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Shayna, for having me. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on the platform and share the healing of breathwork with everyone. Because guys, with breathwork, it helps you control your stress levels. It helps you control your immune system. And for me, it helps me control my outbreaks. So it's definitely something that I love sharing with everyone. It's definitely been a blessing working in this space, being a light worker. So thank you.
Thank you, Queen. Okay, so I want to know how old you are. When were you diagnosed with herpes, and your experience? Just take us through how you felt when you found out you had herpes, your healing, how old you were when you found out you had herpes, and how old you are now.
Okay, so my current age, I'm now 27. I'll be 28 later on this year. So for me, I've almost been dealing with herpes now for about almost 11 years. I found out when I was 17 years old that I had a diagnosis of oral herpes. At that time, of course, with me being so young, the stigmas were heavy then. It was just a big baggage, a big weight on my shoulder. I was in a relationship at the time, so I told my spouse immediately, and they just were like, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. I love you, so I don't care about none of that. So for me, it wasn't so ground shaking and, soul shaking at first when I found out then. But it was when I had to leave that relationship and I had to come to terms with the fact that now I had to share my status with others. And then also moving forward, I was diagnosed again at that time with genital herpes. And I have HSV1 and HSV2, by the way. But as you guys all know, HSV1 and 2 can show up either orally or genitally. It does not matter. One does not apply to either side. But finding out that I had genital herpes, sharing that with my partner, which was the same partner that I shared the first diagnosis with. Again, I don't care about that. I'm here for you. So when we finally broke it off and I finally realized I had to share this knowledge and this stigma that I was dealing with other people, that's the moment when I began to feel the stigma. And that was in 2018. So it's 2021 now. So I believe I was about 26, 25 when I found out, because I got tested and it wasn't until 9 months later that the doctor finally gave me my diagnosis. It was a matter of my physician being, the OBGYN left the practice. So they said, okay, it's time to come in for your routine pap smear because we now have a new OBGYN for you, blah, blah, blah. I get in there, I'm testing my vitals. I'm thinking routine, service, routine appointment. And the nurse just blurts out randomly, did you know that you tested positive for herpes? And I'm just like, excuse me? That's the moment when I stopped breathing. That was the moment when I lost my natural ability to breathe. Because oral herpes is so okay, as a matter of fact. But when it comes to genital herpes, it's this dark shame around it. So I literally stopped breathing that day. And it wasn't until I went through my spiritual journey, working at different places with Buddhist shrines, being able to appreciate different kinds of religions and different backgrounds and their practices, I came into realization that it was time for me to go on my spiritual journey. And that's when I began breath work, really just being conscious of my breath around certain people, certain situations. And that's when I was able to finally feel my prodrome syndromes.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to start journaling, realizing what foods were breaking me out, what kind of relationships with people were breaking me out, and things of that. So I really do actually appreciate my diagnosis, because if it wasn't for this diagnosis, I wouldn't be this spiritually, I don't want to say balanced, because, spiritual work is something that goes on for life. You never stop learning. The day you stop learning is the day you die. For me personally, that's my analogy. So, just being able to open this realm for me, I appreciate the herpes diagnosis, what it's done for me and the people around me, because it's allowed me to heal everyone around me as well.
I know that's right. You mentioned a few things that I wanted to go back on when it comes to your story. One, the fact that you didn't find out not till 9 months later after being tested that you actually had genital herpes, HSV2. And it seems to happen a lot within the community with a lot of other women as well. They kind of test for it, find out you have herpes, and never tell the person that they have herpes. Like me, I test for it, and I was told that if I didn't get a call back, that I was good. I never got a call back. I literally went back to the doctors to see if I was pregnant. And that's when they decided to tell me. They dropped the ball. Not only did they drop the ball for me, they dropped the ball for you, and they dropped the ball for another woman I had an opportunity to speak with on episode 2 of STDs, Our Story. So I'm starting to see there's a trend in the dropping of the ball and letting people know that they have herpes, which is kind of sad. 2, I know you said that you had to disclose that you had HSV1 to your boyfriend at the time, and you had to disclose that you had HSV2 years later to your boyfriend, that you had herpes. 1, did your boyfriend have herpes? 2, do you think that's something you could have had before your boyfriend? Did you blame your boyfriend? How was that process for you? Because a lot of people struggle with that process. It's kind of like we go right into the person I'm with gave me herpes. I would love to hear your experience.
Okay, for me, when I mentioned it to my boyfriend at the time, his comfortability immediately almost made me want to blame him. But then years later, he went through a situation where he was basically put in a situation where he had to be tested, right? And he's telling me my results are coming back, everything's good. But with the knowledge that I learned from you, even, it's not 100% sure that they were actually even testing him for herpes, because that's not included in the average STI panel. And based on the situation and the people who were testing him, I highly doubted that they were going into depth and seeing whether or not that was something that he was dealing with. So even to this day, I've never actually placed eyes on his results. And this is someone I've been dealing with since I was 17 years old. I've not seen his results. No, I do not know. But with that being said, I had experienced a partner before this. And when I would kiss this partner, I would feel, it felt like a lesion or some kind of something in their mouth and things of that nature. But I never thought anything of it. But I didn't ever start to experience these outbreaks until that moment when I was diagnosed at 17. So it's something that crossed my mind, like maybe I had been dealing with this for a while, and this was my thing, not his thing. But then also I thought back like, okay, then I've also experienced chicken pox. I've also experienced shingles at the tender age of 10, because my brother had chicken pox and came around me. And that brought the shingles virus to the forefront for me at 10. And hearing from the doctors that it's only like 1 in every 100,000 kids that actually experiences shingles, I'm like, okay, I'm just this oddity at this point. I felt singled out. But I never actually, like I said, to get back to the main question, looked at his test results to even get the chance to blame him. But I feel I'm happy about that, because I don't want to put my sexual responsibilities on anyone else. It was for me to make sure at that point in time, I want to see your test results. I want to see your results before we even do anything like this. But, you know, the culture perpetuates that random, fast, cool, unexpected sex is okay and fashionable. So at 17, you know, you're not thinking about these things.
Yeah.
But going through things like this at 17 definitely made me more responsible with my partners moving forward.
Yeah.
So again, I still appreciate the situation and all the light that is shed on me and giving me this, you know, knowledge that I would have never had the chance to grasp if I didn't experience it.
Thank you for sharing. You're definitely not alone. Till this day, I still haven't seen the person I was with at the time's test results. They tell me that they don't have herpes, and I just have to believe that. But it definitely, if anyone's listening in, it should be something you're requiring before having sex. No, it's not going to 100% protect you from getting herpes, because if you're having any type of human contact with anyone, you are at risk for getting herpes, especially HSV1. HSV1 spreads at 7 times quicker than HSV2, which means 7 times the amount of people with HSV2 have HSV1. Herpes can literally be found anywhere on your body. So it can be as simple as just hand holding with somebody that you can get herpes. One more question I wanted to ask you that I think is important for everyone to hear is, how was the weight of the herpes stigma? Not so much of how you gotten yourself out of the herpes stigma, but when you was in the herpes stigma, what feelings did you get? What emotions? What some limiting beliefs that you had?
Okay, when I found out, this is when I'm starting to exit the relationship, because that's when I started to feel the weight. That's when I started to feel unaccepted. That was the main thing: acceptance, validation. These were things that, you know, I didn't realize I was seeking before, which I think most humans don't realize. We seek validation. We want to be in a group. We want to be found, you know, in a space where we all, like they say on Cheers, everybody knows your name, right? So I didn't realize until dealing with these emotions of depression. I even almost, I don't want to say I had a suicidal thought, but I just thought to myself, if this is something that I have to deal with for the rest of my life, who's going to want to deal with me knowing that I could potentially put them in this same exact, at that time, I said, excuse my language, SH hole, right? That was exactly what I said to myself. I would continuously tell myself, I shouldn't even date at this point, because then I'm messing up somebody else's life. I'm weight, I'm baggage, I'm this. I told myself so many different things that were not true, because, you know, of course, when we start the healing, we understand that it's completely the opposite once you become sexually responsible. But just things from, like I said, it's not necessarily suicidal thoughts, but thoughts of, I don't deserve to exist anymore because I did something so wrong. This is, like you say, dirty. This is bad. This is something that is unfavorable. I can't talk to my family about this. If my family finds out, they'll be ashamed of me. If my son finds out, he'll be ashamed of me. Just so many different things came to me. And like, even now when I have these conversations and I'm talking about herpes and I'm around like my siblings and my family, I'm starting to see them now starting to accept it more, but they still have not even fully accepted it. I can still feel their weight to this day. Even though I'm lifted in this, I can still feel other people feeling like, I really like don't want to necessarily talk about this. I still feel some kind of way towards the virus, even though you're telling me that you're outbreak free, even though you're telling me that you're happy and you're healed. I still feel that. And me being a super empath, I immediately feel that rush of heat over top of my body talking to them. Yeah. So it lets me know that they feel uncomfortable. But, you know, thank gosh, being healed now, you know, it doesn't affect me as much, but I still to this day can feel that weight of the stigma. It just doesn't hurt me as bad. I just understand it now.
You still know that it's there, but that's so important because you get to change that narrative for the family that comes after you. There shouldn't be a weight when talking about STDs. You know, if we can talk about sex so freely, we should be able to talk about the things that come with sex freely. The community of people that have been shamed, outcast, and hidden because of STDs being such a taboo topic. And it starts with us. It starts with us sharing our story. Our stories can share a life. I mean, save a life, share a life. What is that? But this is our stories, life with an STD. Thank you so much, Euphoria, for sharing. If you want some more of Euphoria, she's with us every single Wednesday on our Instagram Live, on our Facebook. We're talking, we're healing. She assists with the healing. She will assist you on your healing. And if you're interested in her path, go ahead and give us a follow. I'm going to put her handle down in the description box, as well as my handle down in the description box. I just want to end it off with Euphoria. Tell us some ways that herpes could never in your life.
Okay, for me, herpes could never limit my success. Herpes could never make me ugly. Herpes could never make me dirty. Herpes could never deter me from my God-given right to live my life in spite of everything that everyone tries to tell me I am. I know who I am. I define myself, because herpes could never,
Period.
ever.
Period, queen. Thank you so much. If you're watching, please like, subscribe, and share. We need your support. Support is free. We love you. We'll see you on Wednesday if you're catching this, and have a great day. Peace, love, and light.